Hello, divine people. So I told you it was coming, and now it is here. Marriage and 99 problems, but love ain't one. At this juncture, I am just going to kind of see where it goes. I may run a 3-week segment on Davian's Dish, Get Woke Wednesdays, on 99 problems, but love ain't one. Or it may be a 2-month segment. I am not sure where it's gonna go, how it's gonna go, but what I'm going to do is I'm gonna do what I have been doing since the inception of this divine YouTube channel, which is listen to the Lord and listen to my intuition. So if you feel like your marriage could benefit from a little TLC, we are gonna get real with real marital issues. So I would stay tuned if I were you. Right here, right now, on Davian's Dish. If you do not know me personally, you may be wondering, how in the world do I have a clue when it comes to marriage, marital issues, and things like that? So I'm going to briefly tell you a little bit about myself. My husband and I, we actually met in high school. I was a sophomore, he was a junior, Spanish class to be exact. And we actually were married in 1999, which means that we have been married for over 20 years now. So when I tell you that my knowledge and wisdom when it comes to marriage is a part of my life story, I mean literally I have been married for over half of my life. We have 2 incredible daughters. One is aged 20 and the other is aged 21. Or at least that's what she thinks. She thinks she's older than her older sister. She's actually 9. So let me assure you, it is impossible to be married to somebody for 20 years, to know somebody, to live with somebody for so long and not pick up a few things here and there. And I'm talking about picking up things like what brings us closer together, what wedges us apart, what are some things that we do when we go through certain issues, certain problems, certain dramas. You know, I'm talking about things that work, things that don't work. And when I say things that work, things that don't work, it's because we have essentially been doing a 20-year trial and error process. So it's like, I don't even know where to begin, but right now I'm actually going to first start with some facts, some statistical, sad, profound, interesting, crazy facts about marriage. And by the way, if you're not married but you want to be one day, you should absolutely watch this as well. You do not have to be married right now in order to get some real value out of this. So for those of you who do not know, in America right now, we have nearly a 50% divorce rate. And of that 50% divorce rate, there is 40% that actually remarry. And when somebody remarries, they have a higher rate of divorcing in the second marriage. And with that, I wanted to kind of list off some of the common reasons why people get divorced. Now, when I first started looking into these stats and stuff, there were some surprising things that I found as to why people get divorced. So there's the normal things that if you've been married, it would probably make sense to you, these things. But then there's some things also that you're like, oh wow, at least I was. So some of the common reasons why people get divorced are, and this is in no particular order, although they did have studies where some of these things were a higher rate than others. However, I'm just going to kind of randomly name them off. To include infidelity, money issues, lack of commitment, lack of communication, lack of intimacy, substance abuse, too much arguing and conflict, physical appearance, and lack of compatibility. Man, there is so much to unwrap with all of those things. Like, all of those are just the surface. There's so many underlying issues, underlying things that kind of happen and boil under the surface that really lead to these huge reasons why people get divorced. But so for now, I would like to start with lack of commitment. So I know that it's kind of a proverbial joke, mostly with men make this joke, when we settle down and find somebody to commit to, we think of it as the old ball and chain type of commitment, right? But when we are talking about commitment in this context, when it comes to marriage, there is so much more to commitment than the act of getting married. So the loose definition of commitment is having a pledge to somebody or something or an activity. It is kind of engaging in an undertaking. It's being dedicated to somebody. So when we commit ourselves, when we take our vows, when we get married, we are committing our entire selves to this other person, to their well-being, to their happiness, to their state of mind. We are literally making a commitment to champion and uplift this other person in all doings, in everything that we do from this day forward. So you can sort of think about it like this. When we get a job, we commit ourselves to that job, and we know that we have to put in work. So when we get the job, we get, let's say that we get an offer letter, we sign that offer letter, and we are now committed to this employer. So what do? We go to work every day. We do our work to the best of our ability. We do things so that we can get rewarded for the work that we do. And the number one reward being getting paid and not getting fired, right? Because at our job, commitment is not just showing up. Commitment is also showing out. So many of us, when we have a job, we get recognized and we get rewarded for what? For a job well done. And ultimately, for our employer, if we're not self-employed, so ultimately for our employer, what we are doing is we are contributing to their success. We are contributing to them being in existence for the long haul. So similarly, now that we go back to our marriage and how we're committed in our marriage, we should be trying to do things that would have our spouse say, "Ooh, honey, I'm going to give you a raise. I'm going to do this and that for you because you are showing out. I can tell that you are committed. I can tell that you want what is best for me, that you want my well-being to be, in a heightened state, that you want me to be happy." So we're making sure that our marriage is in existence for the long haul, forever. So most of us, that's what we do when we go to our job. We give them that kind of commitment. We throw ourselves, everything at our jobs in order to make our employers happy, in order to be rewarded, in order to get paid. So we need to bring that kind of commitment into our marriage. Otherwise, your spouse may fire you, aka get divorced. Nobody wants that. We don't want that. We don't get into marriage thinking, I'm going to get divorced in this amount of years or this amount of months. No. For the most part, when people are getting married and you are staring into your significant other's eyes and telling them your vows, you are really meaning at that moment that, yes, I am going to do this and that and the other. The thing is, things happen, things get in the way. So now I want to talk about lack of communication. That's another common one that I saw as reasons why people are getting divorced. So lack of communication, communication is key. It is so important when it comes to a marriage. And the thing is everybody's personality is different. So your personality most likely is not going to be the same as your spouse's personality. Like you guys, you just fight differently, and I'm talking about arguing. So when you argue, we all fight differently. We argue differently because we have different personalities. However, communication is kind of what bridges that gap to our different personalities. I mean, if you think back to a time, have you ever been in a fight with your spouse because of something that they said? And then, days go by and you guys didn't really talk about it and really get down to what was bothering you about how they said it, or vice versa, what was bothering them about how you said something. And then, you learn X amount of days later that this is what was bothering them. And then you think to yourself, well, wait a second, I wasn't even trying to do that. I wasn't trying to put you down. I wasn't trying to, shame you, slam you, or make you feel bad about yourself. I just said this because X, Y, Z. So that is one example of how communication is so important. It's so key because the thing is we let things fester. sometimes when we're in a marriage, especially when we are so busy with so many things that we have to do throughout the day, we let things fester. And when things fester, what happens is they build up over time. Time and things are just completely building up. All of this is building up like a very heavy weight on your marriage. And so when you don't clear the air, when you don't have that communication that you need, what happens? You collapse. Your marriage collapses. So this is why communication is so very important. And I'm talking about in all aspects of marriage. That was just one example, but communication is key. And so if you have somebody that, say they're not good at communication, say they don't like to talk, there has to be a time, because people are different. Sometimes, people, they cannot talk or don't want to discuss things when they are feeling a certain way. If they're heated, or maybe they know that they're going to say something wrong, but then what if the other person wants to talk at that time? So this is something that my husband and I have definitely dealt with in our marriage. So I just think that there is something that, some sort of plan that could be made, again, we just communicate it. When I get this upset, I don't like to talk. I don't want to say something that I'm going to regret, or maybe I just cannot think straight if I'm so upset. So, hey, can you give me X amount of time, minutes, hours, whatnot, so that we can come back together and communicate and talk without talking down on each other or putting everyone down. So this way it's a compromise. Another thing that we absolutely need in marriage is compromise. But this way you are compromising, and yes, maybe this person cannot talk right now. However, it doesn't mean that they don't want to talk. Just at that moment, for whatever reason, they need their space. And so I know that if we flip it around to the person who actually wants that conversation to happen, it's not necessarily fair to them if they want the conversation to happen and you don't want the conversation to happen. So there has to be some sort of compromise where you guys come together in minutes, hours, whatever it may be, but you come together and you talk about it. So that's another key thing that has to do with communication. Everything is it's like communication is the building blocks of a successful marriage. Okay guys, so I just wanted to hit those two subjects today, and like I said, we are going to keep on going with this. So if you have anything to add, if you have any questions about the lack of commitment or lack of communication, then I would love to hear from you down in the comments. Other than that, like I said, we're just going to keep on going with it, and we're just going to see where it goes. I might try to get my husband on one of these days, but there's that personality difference. I come alive behind the camera and he gets shy. So if he's not feeling comfortable or up to it, then I won't force him. So, okay, I hope to see you guys on Friday with Get Fierce Fridays, or next Wednesday with Get Woke Wednesday and Marriage and 99 Problems, but Love Ain't One. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. So if you are watching this on Facebook right now, you can click the link in my comments and you can go to YouTube, you can hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, especially if you do not want to miss a video on this subject. Like I said, I don't know how long I'm going to be doing it for, but I would love to have you guys come be a part of my community, and we can just grow, share, learn from each other. So subscribe to my YouTube channel. Other than that, I will see you guys next Friday or Wednesday. Bye!